Mario Kart Wii has one of the most iconic rosters in the Mario Kart franchise, consisting of 24 different Mario characters, each with a unique identity and history. And there are actually some interesting facts exclusive to this game you might not know about regarding these characters. So today I've gathered at least one random and intriguing fact for each character in Mario Kart Wii you might not know about until now. If you have any other to share that I don't end up covering, you can always let me know in the comments down below. Hope you all enjoy, and let's get right into this. We start off with our first character, Baby Mario. Now Baby Mario in Mario Kart Wii is just like the name says, a baby version of Mario, which obviously means he doesn't have a mustache. But in Mario's first appearance as a baby in the TV show The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3 in 1990, he is somehow featured with a mustache even though he's a baby. This was just an early version of Baby Mario, and we can only assume that this served as the inspiration for the Baby Mario we would later get in Mario Kart Double Dash and Wii. And speaking of Baby Mario, when you first got Mario Kart Wii, you might have picked him for your first race. But you certainly did not choose his brother, Baby Luigi, as for some reason he is locked and therefore unavailable at the start of the game. He is only awarded to you after unlocking 8 expert staff ghosts. This makes Baby Luigi the only baby character who is not available at the start, while his adult version, Luigi, is. And on to another baby character with Baby Peach. She is just one of 6 characters who cry when they lose a race in the game. Come on, no one likes a sore loser. And for our last baby character, unlike the other babies, Mario Kart Wii is actually Baby Daisy's first ever appearance, with the others having appeared in games prior. This kind of fittingly makes Baby Daisy the youngest character in the game. Hey, I mean, she is a baby after all. Finally, we can move on from the baby characters, as it gets much more interesting with the fact that our red Toad we play as in Mario Kart Wii is simply named Toad. And in other games prior, we can see many of these same Toads with the same red spots, proving he is not unique. You will never find another Toad with red spots like the Racer Toad. You can only see Toads of other colors like green, blue, and purple. This is quite strange, as we know that there isn't only one red Toad in the Mario universe, but in Mario Kart Wii the developers refused to include any other red Toads besides the one we race as. And speaking of Toad, Toadette actually shares the same exact voice as him.
Yay! I won! Yeah! I win!
Kind of a weird fact knowing that they are love interests. The same voice also voices Peach and Baby Peach. On to Koopa, who has this really unique losing animation where he hides in his shell in shame. Additionally, there was also originally meant to be another Koopa character, Kart Troopa, who is red and has wings, unlike the regular Koopa who is green without wings. We actually saw this character in Mario Kart Double Dash, where Kart Troopa was Koopa's partner in the game, but for some reason he was left out of Mario Kart Wii. Other characters also in the game's files but never made the final cut of the game include Hammer Bro and Petey Piranha. Oh well, at least we have Baby Daisy, I guess. For Dry Bones, this fact is not exclusive only to Mario Kart Wii, but still interesting nonetheless. Some people believe that the name of the character Dry Bones is a biblical reference, as a verse in the Bible describes dry bones in a pile in a desert valley that in prophecy rebuild together. This is interesting considering that is exactly what Dry Bones does in most Mario games, as he rebuilds himself from a pile of bones. The theory does fall apart, no pun intended, after the scripture describes the bones gaining flesh and life. An interesting theory, but I personally think that this is just a coincidence. But who knows, maybe the people responsible for naming Dry Bones in the English translation did this purposely. Also, for some reason on Bowser's Castle we can see a sign that shows Dry Bones riding a boo. I didn't know that was possible. Starting us off with the middleweight characters, we have Mario, the face of the franchise, and fittingly enough, he has the most tracks named after him in the game, at 4, with Mario Circuit, N64 Mario Raceway, GCN Mario Circuit, and SNES Mario Circuit 3. That's a whole 1/8 of the tracks in the game. But hey, he's the main character, so it makes sense. What makes a little less sense is how Luigi actually has better character stats than Mario, even though Mario is the main character, with Luigi given 2 speed and 6 weight, which far outweighs Mario's other stats, as speed is the most important statistic in the game. But Mario is usually the most balanced character in Mario Kart games. That's no fun. Next we have Peach, who gets a cool biker suit when using her and choosing a bike for the race. If you use a cart, it's just her regular dress, giving her 2 outfit styles in the game. This is also given to Rosalina and Daisy. And speaking of Daisy, Mario Kart Wii reveals she actually has her own candy, as we can see on her signature track Daisy Circuit where a sign advertises it. Where can I get my hands on some? Now on to Yoshi, who actually has 2 statues of his liking in the game, but interestingly enough, it's not on his signature track DS Yoshi Falls, with that course featuring a giant Yoshi egg instead. It's actually on Dry Dry Ruins for some reason, as you can see Yoshi in 2 parts of the track as a giant Sphinx statue. I feel like they could have given that to Dry Bones, but this works too, and is pretty cool nonetheless. Yoshi's counterpart Birdo might be the most neglected character in the game. In Mario Kart Wii, you can race against ghost racers who were played by the staff who made the game to practice your skills. The ghosts use a variety of different characters. In fact, they use every character in the game, except for Birdo. And they use characters such as Mario multiple times, so they certainly had room to use Birdo, but apparently no one wanted to use her. They did, however, feature a blue Birdo in the crowds on tracks such as DK Summit and N64 Mario Raceway, where you can see her in the distance. So that's cool, I guess. Diddy Kong is the only character who hurts himself when he loses a race. We see other characters such as Mario get frustrated as he hits his vehicle when he loses, but Diddy Kong is the only character who straight up hurts himself as we see him bonking his head over and over in frustration. This is just hilarious. Bowser Jr. is a middleweight in the game despite being a pretty small character hitbox wise, and much smaller compared to other middleweights. And if you thought this was strange, you'd be right to assume so, as Mario Kart Wii is the only Mario Kart game in the whole entire series that classifies him as being a middleweight. In every other installment of the game, he is a lightweight, as we see in his first appearance Mario Kart Double Dash, and his latest appearance Mario Kart 8. For some reason, only in Mario Kart Wii he was randomly made a middleweight, and if I'm being honest, this was probably just because there were so many baby characters taking up space in the lightweight class, which pushed up Bowser Jr. to a middleweight. But enough talk about the middleweights, we are on to the heavy characters, starting us off with Wario, who is actually the only character in the game who has a vehicle named after him, with his signature vehicle, the Wario bike. However, in the European translation of the game, the Flame Runner is listed as the Bowser bike, even though it's the same language, just different location. So Wario's name exclusivity only applies to the American version. Wario's partner, Waluigi, is actually the only character who accuses the other racers of foul play when he loses a race.
Oh, too bad. I get you next time, cheaters. Everybody cheater. Next time I cheat.
I've mentioned this in a video before, but I thought it's so hilarious I had to mention it again. What's also kind of funny is how when you look at Donkey Kong in the character selection screen, his mouth can be seen on his feet. I don't know how the development team let this one slip by, or maybe it's purposeful so he can eat more bananas. On to Bowser, who has the most statues of any character in the game, at 7. Pretty fitting for King Koopa. King Boo is featured as the staff ghost with the most impressive time in the game at around 58 seconds. This is the closest staff ghost time to a world record, with it being around 6 seconds behind the no glitch world record for SNES Ghost Valley 2 at the time of this recording. The character Rosalina comes from the popular Super Mario Galaxy, released a year prior to Mario Kart Wii. And when you get into a race with her, she actually drives with her Luma, seen in Mario Galaxy, flying around her as you drive. For some reason, the Luma doesn't appear in the character selection screen, oddly enough, but it's still a cool feature to an already cool character. Now we've come to the most popular character in the game, Funky Kong, who despite being the most used actually has the least amount of stat points out of any character in the game. People still use him so much because most of those stats are speed, which is the most useful statistic in the game. An additional fact is that Funky Kong is the only character who has a battle course named after him in the game, with Funky Stadium. Dry Bowser's voice in the game is almost the same as Bowser's voice, with it just sounding more gravelly. This is because when he was first introduced as a character in New Super Mario Bros., it was after Bowser had fallen into lava, and through the process of getting burned, it presumably damaged his voice and burned his skin, giving him this very cool and scary design. So yes, Dry Bowser is just Bowser, but after falling into lava. And that's all the characters. I'm leaving the me to you guys, so let me know down below if there are any fun facts you have for that. Also let me know if you enjoyed this kind of video, and please leave suggestions and feedback down below as well. Thank you all for watching, and as always, have a great day.